Yes, here we go. Sportsbet. Betting Insight today, Pauly and Teddy, Wednesday, August 15th. I'm at Real Sportsbet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers, SBR picks, 3 preseason games to go over with some big movement, and especially in that Packer game. We'll get to coming up, a little top-bottom ROI in Major League Baseball. We recap what's going on, all the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. One bad beat, Royals plus 125. Penn blew it in the 8th, 2 outs, 2 strikes. Home run for Toronto, and they win 6-5. Bad bets, a lot of them. Cubs, Brewers over 9 up to 9.5. Quinton had been terrific in his career against Milwaukee. He gets roughed up at a 7-0 Milwaukee win. And a tough one here for us. Paxton gets knocked out after the third batter with a line drive. He'll miss a start. Mariners took money 116-132. Fires pitched well. Mariners lose 3-2 again.
Sure. Let's start with Kansas City, who, looking at the standings right now, I've got them at 36-83. That's rough, man. That's 303 baseball. They're 32 games out of first place in one of the weakest divisions in MLB. So another bad beat for the Royals. Yeah, there have been a lot of bad beats for the Royals this year. Bullpen meltdown has been a consistent problem for KC backers. And if you're playing KC anywhere near a regular basis, my condolences to you. As for the bad bets, Seattle took money and lost. Philadelphia took money and lost. San Diego took money and lost. They went from dogs to favorites last night. So certainly when you talk about the big moves from the wise guy bettors, not a great night last night by any stretch of the imagination, with Seattle, Philadelphia, San Diego all coming up short.
You got to bet the Red Sox every day. They're 51 games over. They've won 10 of 11. They are plus 33 units on the season, number 1 in ROI. Oakland's number 2 now, plus 30 units, as they're 38-12 since middle of June. Atlanta's number 3, Seattle's number 4, and Philly's number 5. Well, the Phillies are great at home and they stink on the road. Philly's almost up 12 units. At the bottom, it's the Orioles, and it's not even close. You're down 40 units on the Orioles, even though they won last night, followed by the Royals. And look at that, the Dodgers and the Nats. How about the Dodgers and the Nats can both miss the playoffs? Dodgers lose again last night at home to the Giants. The bullpen issues, and they can't hit.
Yeah, that's the bigger issue, or every bit as big an issue for the LA Dodgers right now as the issues with their bullpen. This is a lineup that's gone cold. And when you watch LA, they're not taking good at-bats. When the Dodgers offense is in sync, they're making every pitcher work on every at-bat. We haven't seen that from LA. A lot of bad at-bats and a lineup that's missing several key components. Dodgers don't look all that scary right now, and that's certainly reflected at least modestly in the betting markets. We're not seeing anywhere near the numbers in the Dodgers this year compared to what we saw last year when the Dodgers were winning everything and the bookmakers were consistently pricing them at $3 and higher on a game-in, game-out basis.
Top 5 starter money, ROI. Rodriguez with the Red Sox leads the way, 16-3. Mike Leake, who goes today, is number 2 in ROI, followed by Fires. Price is in that list as well. Worst ROI, Verlander, now the leader. Think about this. With the loss last night, and the Astros have lost 9 in a row at home, Verlander now minus 1384 on the season, and they're 14-12 in his starts. Yet he's ahead of Homer Bailey. The Reds are 1-15 when Bailey starts, and then you got Kershaw in there at number 1, followed by Cobb with the bottom 5 ROI for pitchers in Major League Baseball. Bad for the books. Astros under 7.5 down to 7. Astros can't hit right now. They lose 5-1 at home. Rockies only a game back.
Yeah, and look, what's going on for Houston right now is real and is maybe a little bit scary if you're an Astros fan. As you mentioned, 9 straight home losses and a lineup, again, missing key components. Houston's not healthy. In theory, they should be getting healthier as we head into the stretch run and towards the postseason. But right now, the Astros playing some lethargic baseball. And, of course, the undercashed in the Houston game last night, that was bad for the books. The undercashed in the Yankees game again last night, the best under team in baseball, that too bad for the books. And then the Atlanta Braves taking money yet again and winning yet again. It's been an ugly series with the Braves dominating the Marlins.
Happ does it again. 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs. He's 3-0 with a 1.89 and 3 starts at Yankee Stadium since being traded. Yankees 14-3 in their last 17 at home against Tampa and they've won their last 12 home series against the Rays since 2014. Home teams in that matchup, home teams, I think 11-2 now between Tampa and the Yankees. Braves do it again. 2-game lead in the division, and the Nationals are 8 back now with the loss. And don't look now, St. Louis only 4 back of the Cubs, and St. Louis only a game back in the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, look, the NL races are interesting. The AL races have been boring all year, and they're not changing, with the exception, perhaps, Yankees, Red Sox, who are now it's a 10-game difference in the AL East. I don't think the Yankees are going to overcome that level of deficit. So we talk about the AL race. Yeah, you got the issue with the wild card, maybe something in the AL West. But the NL has been interesting and will continue to be interesting. This is an NL playoff chase that legitimately has, 10, 11 teams in it right now. I don't see that changing with St. Louis surging. The Nats are still alive, certainly for the postseason, even though they've been struggling. The Dodgers are still very live. You talk about the Rockies. Even the Giants only 5 games out right now. The Pirates 2 games over 500 right now. So there's room to maneuver in the National League. A team that gets hot has the potential to go a long, long way in a racing ground in that NL playoff race.
I bet the Cardinals 18-1 today to win the division. How about that? They're 4 back with
Good
6.5 weeks left. Yeah, incredible. All right, here we go. Rob Vina will move them to next Wednesday to do the Pac-12. So we'll do our conference previews with Rob coming up next week. And a week from Saturday, we have our first games in college football. Preseason, some line movement. Week 2, 3 games underway tomorrow. Patriots are 3.5 and 42.5 against the Eagles. Forget the Super Bowl rematch business. Hoodie and the Patriots again, 7 straight overs in the preseason. Had no business cashing a ticket against the Redskins, but they did, and somehow the game went over. Hoodie's on an incredible run here. 58 and 36 to the over in his career in the preseason. No Wentz. Foles could get some time. Sudfeld and Callahan. For whatever reason, the Eagles signed Hackenberg, who his first 2 passes were intercepted in practice. Kid can't play. Might be the worst quarterback in NFL history. A second-round pick who's yet to take a snap in a game. I can't believe it. And Brady's going to play for the Patriots. At least that's what he told Boston Radio.
Yeah, okay. So let's start with where the money's going on this game. And the money has been going towards the home team. New England opened 3, up to 3.5. Surprisingly, given the nature of last week in the NFL preseason, where everything flew over the total. I mean, it was a really strong over week in week 1. We've seen a major adjustments for the totals in week 2 as a result. But given the Patriots' track record of cashing overs, given the fact that week 1 in the preseason, given that week 1 was an extreme over week in the preseason, I'm a little bit surprised to see the money come on the under for this ball game, 43.5 down to 42.5. But a lot of that has to do with the quarterback rotations in this ball game. And obviously, you talked about Hoodie and what he's expecting to do. Let me just give you Hoodie's quote right off the bat, talking about the 2018 New England Patriots. I'm focused on doing the best I can for the 2018 New England Patriots. That's my job. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I've always done in the past. Every day I've coached here, I've done the best that I could for this football team. I'll continue to do that. Right now, my focus is on 2018 season, not 2017, 2014, 2007, 2004, 2001, 2000. I'm not focused on any of those seasons. They're done. So basically, anything the reporters have asked him about the previous years, but he's like, yeah. All that's rearview mirror right now. Extra motivation because it's the Eagles, rearview mirror right now. We're not seeing anything from New England that's saying, we're super excited about this ball game. And we saw last week, the Patriots scored 26 on Washington. 23 of those 26 came after halftime. The game, the score that went over the touchdown that made the game go over the total came after a fumble deep in in Washington's own territory. Brady's going to play. Hoyer got a ton of playing time last week. Etling wasn't all that good. That's the top 3 QBs for New England in this contest. For Philly, well, you're not going to see Carson Wentz. We are expected to see Nick Foles. How much he's going to play is very much a question mark. Nate Sudfeld, Joe Callahan likely to get the majority of snaps again for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah,
I don't blame Hoodie. He's sick because Lane Johnson keeps running his mouth about Belichick, and he's got to keep answering questions about that as well. All right, Redskins and the Jets. Redskins are 138.5. This opened 3.5. Nothing but Jets money, and it makes sense because of the quarterback rotation. You got a veteran in McCown, and then they're showcasing Bridgewater as they're expected to trade him. And now Darnold in the running to take the job and start week 1 as he played well in the first preseason game. So the Jets are taking money here in this one.
Yeah, so what we've seen, as you mentioned, a ton of Jets money, and this is not a small move. This has been a significant move towards New York, and it's all about the QB rotation. Sam Darnold, it looks like it has not been announced. Todd Bowles has not been very forthcoming this preseason about what he wants to do. But the Jets beat writers are all suspecting that Sam Darnold is going to get the start here. Darnold gets the start. Guess what that means? That means McCown and or Bridgewater coming off the bench, and that's a pretty good matchup when you're talking about first-string capable quarterbacks going up against backup and third-string defenders for Washington. That being said, we saw very clearly in the second half last week as the Jets played the Falcons. We brought it up here, right here on SportsBit. We previewed the Jets-Falcons game. That great quote from Todd Bowles talking about how he wanted to cross-train his offensive linemen and get guys comfortable in different positions where they're not used to playing. Lo and behold, the Jets offense didn't score any points after halftime in the opener. It was not necessarily a pretty showing from that offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised to see more of the same in this one. So if Darnold starts, well, let me flip it back to you, Pauly, because, when you look at the numbers, Tuesday's final practice, Darnold had 28 reps, 23 of them with the starters, 24 reps for Teddy Bridgewater, only 3 with the starters, and only 5 reps for Josh McCown, all with the starters. A year ago, week 2, Bowles started Christian Hackenberg for the second preseason game and played Bryce Petty for the whole second half. McCown, who was the favorite for the job, the starting job, didn't play at all in that contest.
I would start McCown and then bring Darnold along once we get into the season. But they're going to trade Bridgewater because so many teams need a good backup as well. With the Jets, the movement on the over up to 39, or come down a little bit. It opened 39.5, which surprises me as well because these games continue to go over. And with the new rules, see if this continues. Don't forget about the helmet-to-helmet, how they're calling this, and also the new kickoff rules. If this continues, I'm sure they'll keep calling it in the preseason if it continues in the regular season, if we see some of these totals. I mean, when do you see this where you see totals? How many games where the totals are in the 40s? Most of the games, the totals are in the 40s now.
And wait till next week when it's the regular season walkthrough.
Right.
We'll be seeing totals in the upper 40s and maybe even some in the 50s, like we would see in the regular season. Now, worth noting, this total, we've seen a little bit of under money, 39.5 down to 38.5, despite the fact that the Redskins may have some issues in their secondary in this ballgame. Remember, they just cut the veteran, Orlando Scandrick, who had just signed with the team in the offseason. Now, maybe Scandrick wasn't in great shape, maybe didn't fit in, but the bottom line is it's a very young secondary. Jay Gruden talking about wanting to get his younger guys more snaps. I think the whole point of it is we have to get them the reps. When somebody else is here and Fabian is not taking reps, talking about Fabian Moreau, who now will be a starting cornerback, when someone else is here and Fabian's not taking the reps, it's not doing anybody any good. So we have to see Fabian. So what does that mean? That means the rookies fighting for the roster spot, the Danny Johnsons of the world. He had a good training camp. Virginia Tech alumni, Greg Stroman, Adonis Alexander, they're likely to get extra PT in the secondary today. And of course, they have Josh Norman, or I should say tomorrow, in the ballgame. Josh Norman, quote, I think it's trusting those guys and believing in them. They can do it at a young age. Let's not forget, these guys had a feisty practices together earlier in the week. Really feisty. Terrell Pryor taking a lot of heat from his former Redskins teammates. There's no love lost between these two squads right now. I do expect an intense football game. Of course, from a point spread perspective, we've seen nothing but Jets money. We've seen a little bit of under money at the current number. I can't get to the Jets at +1 when +3.5 was available. But no surprise here if the Jets go off at pick'em or even favored. As you mentioned, Pauly, nothing but money on the Jets flowing in from the opener of this point spread.
That game is also on ESPN tomorrow, and one more from Lambeau. This opened 2.5. The Packers are now 5.5, 42.5 against the Steelers. And this looks like a great bet And I certainly agree with the move. Here's your information. Rodgers will play, followed by Kaiser and Hundley, and they're battling it out for the backup spot there in Green Bay. No Roethlisberger, no Landry Jones. So it's Rodgers, Kaiser, and Hundley against Dobbs and the rookie Rudolph. How about that?
Yeah, and certainly you can understand once the QB rotations came out, we saw nothing but Green Bay money, a big steam move on the Packers, driving through the key number of 3, driving through the key number of 4, and we're already looking at 5.5 and 6 right now. It could go higher. Green Bay's been dominant on this home field in the preseason. I got them 8-1 straight up. Their last 9 tries, they won 6 in a row. So the Packers do seem to care about winning at home in the Mike McCarthy era in the preseason. As for their opponent, Pittsburgh, well, they got a win last week, 31-14 over Philadelphia. That's been the exception rather than the rule under Mike Tomlin. Tomlin, not a guy who tends to take preseasons very seriously. You talked about Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, Aaron Rodgers is going to play. How much he plays is very much in question. Here's Mike McCarthy. Quote, "It's more about the coordination of who he's playing with, what we're trying to accomplish in that period of time. Our practice structure and what we've been able to accomplish in practice is a bit different. Every rep we achieve on the practice field, whether it's an individual drill, combination drill, group, you factor all those things into the training of your football team. Obviously, at the forefront of your decision is being smart with Aaron, but it's the combination of who he plays with, too." Another quote from McCarthy on Rodgers. Quote, "We put a lot of credence into what we get done on the practice field. These are very important padded practices. They're laid out so that the flow of practice is done for a reason as far as which drills happen and what time. We put time into that because you have to get it done in these padded practices. You have to hit the target. And preseason games is a moving target. Let's be honest, the health of your football team factors into how you play, guys. We put a ton of time and energy and detail into those practices." Read between the lines. McCarthy's saying, I don't care about this game all that much. We're worried more about practices than we are games. That being said, from all indications, Mike Tomlin doesn't care about this game even a little with that Dobbs / Rudolph QB combination for the Steelers. The top 2 QBs not likely to see.
A lot of veterans will sit out too for Pittsburgh. Dobbs and Rudolph went 15-26 for 192, a touchdown and an interception in the win last week against the Eagles. For the Packers, Hundley played 24 snaps, Kaiser 37 snaps, and Boyle got in there with 32 snaps as well. McCarthy wants to play all 4 quarterbacks in this one coming up. We'll do more preseason tomorrow and Friday, and then a week from Friday, we're actually talking about college football, as there are a couple games Saturday, August 25th. I can't believe it. Money time, play of the game. You take it away. Back to this game.
Sure, let's talk about Green Bay and Pittsburgh. And we've seen this line go up significantly. That being said, Green Bay wins these games at home. The Steelers, they don't give a squat about getting a W on Thursday. So I think the best way to go here is game number 406. Take a look at the Green Bay Packers on the money line. You'll find them at -230, even better than that if you shop around. Yeah, you're laying more than 2-1, but it's a game the Packers are very likely to win. Green Bay money line, -230, game number 406. That's our play of the day.
All right, very good. Nothing's a lock, but that's strong information, and that figures to win with Pittsburgh not playing anybody in the Packers. It's a perfect scenario. Team doesn't care. They're saying that in a team with a backup quarterback battle behind Rodgers. Plus, this is big too. Earlier in the week, Rodgers ripped the young guys as he was running the scout team last week. So these guys, they were embarrassed by that too and ticked off. So we'll see how the young wide receivers do once they get in there in the second half. Low Shack in the bag coming up next. Sports Bet, betting insight today on SBR Picks. I'm at Real Sports Bet on Twitter. He's at Teddy_covers. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Thanks for watching. We're back tomorrow. Thank you to the staff and the crew. We'll talk to you then.